drove to Rhonda's office carrying sunflowers for our 16th anniversary. The receptionist informed me that Rhonda was out for lunch with Michael. She delivered the news casually, much like discussing the weather. She also mentioned they have lunch together every Friday. I thanked her and left for my truck. We married at 28, both of us. At the time, she was finishing a business degree at night while working the front desk at a claims office. Meanwhile, I was striving to develop 2 service vans into a sustainable venture. Over the years, we managed our separate paths. By that anniversary, Marsh Comfort Systems employed 5 men and had 3 trucks adorned with my name. 4 years early, I paid off the house in Broken Arrow. Rhonda, on the other hand, rose to the position of senior claims analyst at Meridian Insurance. She enjoyed health benefits, a respectable title, her own office with a window view. Lately, she frequently spoke about her team and their regional director, Michael DeVore, whom she admired. An effective communicator, he stood up for her when advocating for a salary increase during the previous spring. I wasn't envious. After 16 years together, she hadn't given me any cause for jealousy. When a marriage lasts so long without incident, you tend to stop searching for problems. You traverse it daily, diverting your thoughts elsewhere. That Tuesday, I had set aside the afternoon for Camacho's on Riverside, the Italian restaurant we visited on our 5th anniversary. I was feeling contented, the kind of persistent contentment that arises when work is progressing smoothly and its surroundings are stable. Then I wasn't. I didn't depart immediately after the receptionist informed me. Instead, I sat in my Tacoma in the visitor parking lot and allowed the air conditioning to run. 40 minutes later, a silver sedan parked at the front entrance. Rhonda exited from the passenger side. Michael DeVore accompanied her into the building. I hadn't encountered him until that moment. Approaching 60, lean, unbuttoned collar, the type of man who had managed for a considerable time and demonstrated his ease accordingly. She seemed amused by something he said. I hadn't previously noticed him. Not the polite chuckle from her holiday gatherings. This was casual, unforced. He held open the door for her as she entered, and her hand briefly touched his forearm. A fleeting moment, perhaps just 2 seconds, yet it spoke volumes to me. I've witnessed Rhonda touch people in a manner like that throughout her adult life, and I know when such gestures carry meaning. I took 2 grainy photos through the windshield, enough to identify the scene. After they entered, I waited a while longer with the engine running. The sunflowers sat on the passenger seat, wilting in the heat. I opted against showing them, not because I wasn't prepared, but because I lacked solid evidence then, and a parking lot and a feeling wouldn't support my case. Instead, I drove home, leaving the sunflowers and a glass of water on the kitchen counter without uttering a word about it. Rhonda arrived home at 6:30. Entered via garage, deposited her bag, inquired about my day. She spotted sunflowers on the counter and wondered their origin. I revealed they were bought en route. She grinned, bent to sniff them, then recollected it was our anniversary, suggesting a plan for the weekend. Perhaps Saturday dinner. She bestowed a cheek kiss and ascended to alter attire. I remained in kitchen, listening to her upstairs maneuvers: closet, bathroom, TV switch in the bedroom. My mind wandered to Michael DeVore keeping the door ajar. His hand touched by hers on his arm, her stroll accompanied by laughter. She reappeared in sweats, asking if I fancied pasta. I agreed. We dined at kitchen table. She discussed a perplexing claim she was addressing. Disputed chronology concerned her. She spoke of her team. No hint of Michael DeVore surfaced. As she shifted towards the couch, I initiated a bank account on my phone's app. In the last month, 2 unrecognized Tuesday lunch expenses appeared. Later, she settled on the couch, engrossed in her phone. Meanwhile, I took care of the dishes and put them away. At around 11 p.m., I ascended to bed. She joined about an hour later. As her breath evened out into sleep, I surreptitiously picked up her nightstand phone. The conversation thread was titled Michael D. atop her messages. It resided. Transporting the phone to the bathroom, I seated myself on the tub's edge and perused 6 months of texts. The majority contained office jargon for scheduling, file references, and meeting details. However, amidst the cautious exchanges, there were several candid ones. Last night had been a revelation. Once more, it was Tuesday. By the thread's conclusion, all questions dissipated. I activated my own phone to capture her screen image. 16 messages reviewed, each significant one. Later, I placed her phone face down and resumed sleeping, leaving it exactly where I'd picked it up. Rhonda remained undisturbed. For 20 minutes, I lay there, then rose, ventured to the kitchen, opened a notes app, typed out the contents of those messages, including names, dates, and the exact wording, emailed them to myself at 6 a.m., discarded the draft. My wife was having an affair with her boss. That much was evident now. There was no need to label it anything more intricate than that. As the sky outside began to darken, I rose, brewed coffee, and went to work. The first call I would make was scheduled for 4 days from then. Wednesday saw a project in South Tulsa completed, Thursday a school building out in Bixby. On paper, an ordinary week transpired. Rhonda and I dined together both evenings. She spoke, I listened. I did not provoke arguments, posed no leading questions. My facial expressions revealed nothing unusual to her, which was precisely what I required. I've got a property management client named Walt, who's been involved in commercial real estate in Tulsa for 30 years and is well connected. Last Thursday afternoon, between jobs from my truck, I contacted him to inquire casually if he knew a Michael DeVore at Meridian. He did. They had a professional relationship. Michael was married to Connie. They had 2 children and lived out in Jenks. His wife worked at a dental practice on 71st Street, which I found online. That night, I texted Connie DeVore from my personal number. I kept the message brief, made it clear that I didn't know her, but mentioned I had information regarding her husband and thought she should hear it before others. I explained that I'd understand if she chose not to respond. She replied within 8 minutes. She suggested we meet somewhere outside of town. I agreed. We met on Saturday morning at a diner off Highway 169 north of Wausau. She was already seated when I arrived. She appeared to be in her mid-40s, with steady eyes and clutching a coffee cup. She exuded an aura of someone pondering a question for some time before seeking resolution. Placing my phone on the table, I displayed the series of images. She methodically perused them, offering minimal commentary. Upon seeing one particular photo, she set the device aside and gazed out towards the parking lot. She then disclosed that her apprehensions had been brewing for approximately 2 months. She shared that Meridian imposed a ban on romantic relationships between supervisors and their subordinates. Michael had acknowledged this policy when he assumed his director position. Furthermore, she hinted at his impending vice president role, an announcement anticipated in the upcoming quarter, a position they've been working towards for 2 years. She also recounted the annual family recognition event, held every Thursday evening at the Renaissance Hotel downtown, with partners and families invited. As I drove home, my mind wandered to that Thursday. On Monday morning, I forwarded all 16 screenshots to Meridian's HR compliance mailbox. On Sunday evening, Rhonda casually brought up the dinner during her laundry folding session. Her tone was neutral, as if reciting a list of items. She mentioned the awards ceremony and hinted at edible options being reasonable, stating that spouses were permitted this year. It seemed she hoped I might decline. I informed her I would attend. Upon setting down a towel, she subtly suggested I wasn't obligated to go, saying it was corporate-oriented. I reassured her I needed the break and left the matter at that. I communicated with Connie twice that week, both times without intentionally synchronizing our actions. We independently made decisions about what we were doing. That was sufficient for us. On Wednesday morning, I transferred the joint savings into my personal account, as my attorney had advised me to do. On Thursday morn, I donned my navy blazer for client presentations, unearthed my formal shoes from the back of the closet last worn at an anniversary dinner a couple years ago. Rhonda was in a red dress that night. The memory still lingered. After lacing up the shoes and descending the stairs, I confronted unread emails, an HR complaint since Monday, divorce papers since Wednesday. All that remained was my presence. The hotel ballroom was adorned with round tables bathed in soft light. Rhonda was there before me, near the bar with 2 colleagues. Upon noticing me approach, a brief expression flickered on her face, swiftly replaced by a smile and remark about my appearance. We took our seats as the room filled up. Michael DeVore sat at a distant table with some managers, his back toward me, unaware of my arrival. Around 30 minutes into the event, the distant door swung open and Connie DeVore entered, dressed in navy. Aimed an empty chair close to the rear. From across the venue, I observed Michael spot her. His discourse halted abruptly. He gazed at her, then at me, and gradually placed his glass on the table. Following the meal service, he rose and headed towards the bar near the exit. I hesitated a moment before joining. There, he stood alone with his back to the crowd. I stated, "Human Resources received a complaint on Wednesday morning. Connie filed hers independently through legal representation." "I believed it best if you heard it directly from me." He remained silent. I retraced my steps to the table. Rhonda was taciturn during our drive home. She stowed her phone in her bag upon entering the car and refrained from using it again. I maintained a soft country music station on the radio, allowing the quietness to linger. Upon arriving indoors, I informed her that I would be taking the spare room and we discussed the matter in the morning. She stood in the hallway with an expression I had not seen on her face before. It was not one of guilt, rather a look of someone who has just acknowledged a door that had already been closed. She uttered my name softly. I responded with "good day" and ascended to the upper floor. In the morning, she descended wearing a robe. I had prepared coffee. I disclosed that I had filed for divorce the day prior to our dinner, mentioned the house was mine before marriage and it would remain so. She was given 2 weeks to settle her affairs. She wept, apologized, admitted things had spiraled out of control, and stated she'd ended things with Michael weeks ago. After allowing her to finish speaking, I said, 6 months of texts. I then recited each one. The latest message arrived on Friday. 2 weeks later, she departed for her sister's residence in Bixby. That same month, Michael's VP announcement was rescinded. He was reassigned to a compliance role without any subordinates. Connie's lawyer filed in November. Rhonda's contract at Meridian expired at the quarter's end. She accepted a position at a smaller firm across town. I learned this news from her sister, who occasionally texts me. The house now echoes primarily with a peaceful quietness. 5 individuals arrive each morning, prompting a 2-week wait list. In the evening, I work, eat dinner, occasionally watching a game. Occasionally, I sit outside with a beer, finding comfort in its simplicity. Sometimes it's tranquil and I let it be. The walls in my bedroom remain unchanged, waiting for a new coat of paint, a decision yet to be made. I sometimes reflect on the past 16 years, not with resentment, but like sifting through old documents, attempting to distinguish reality from perception. I have no definitive answer regarding that and likely won't. However, I recall driving to her office one Tuesday afternoon with a bouquet of sunflowers. Upon entering, I heard the receptionist's words and stepped back outside to my vehicle, contemplating the house, business, and I still standing. For now, that suffices. Line's memory lingers in my thoughts on Fridays. It's odd how an ordinary Tuesday can abruptly shift your entire existence. Appreciate the likes, consider a subscription, as there are numerous unshared tales ahead.